either sling egg rolls or
Shut up, Joel! It's time for the weekly poll!
Well played, sir.
That was an amazing time to start.
You need to explain that joke to our guest.
I always wait for him to talk right at the start time so I can cut him off. It's a running gag at this point.
Thinking of making shirts.
Everyone's like, Joel's so mad. You're so mean to him, Betty. I'm like, Joel wants a shirt with it on it. Anyway, guys, welcome to the Weekly Poll. This is our weekly show where we talk about all kinds of comic book and pop culture goodness. As usual, I'm one of your main hosts, Benny, the Comicstorian. Over in one of the, I don't know where I positioned everyone, but near me is Sal from Comic Pop. And behind him is Batman.
Yeah. He's not messing around.
And then we have Joel in a Chinese kitchen located on a shipping dock. He's from the channel Joel.
I live an interesting life, everyone.
And today's guest is Professor Thorgy of the Professor Thorgy channel. It's his namesake. He does a lot of great editorials talking about some interesting points of view because he works at a comic book store. So a lot of us like to think we know what's going on, but he actually has a better understanding of it. Why don't you let him know what happens on your channel and where they can find you if it's more than YouTube?
Yes, hey there, everybody. You can find me at youtube.com/c/Professor Thorgy. It's the Professor Thorgy channel, like you just said. On the channel, I basically just talk about everything from pop culture and geek culture. On Wednesdays, we always have Comic Class. That's the show where I talk about comic books, so that's the thing that is the most important to this show. But then on the weekends, we do movie and video game reviews. You can also find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Twitch at Professor Thorgy.
Nice.
Professor Thorgy.
Good brand consistency.
Yeah, I picked a weird enough name that no one had claimed it yet.
Well, okay, so that's actually what I was going to say. Thorgy's a great name, but isn't somebody's dog named Thorgy?
Oh, there have to be dozens. I would be shocked. I mean, I own like 5 shirts that are corgis with the Thor hammer in their mouth that just say Thorgy.
Okay.
And they're all from different people. Like, everybody had this idea all at once.
I just want to make sure that I'm not crazy. I wasn't trying to insult your name, but at the same time, I'm like,
oh, no.
I just have this image of a dog with a hammer, and I think someone named the... I know Caitlin's dog is named Thor, but not Thorgy, you know?
Yeah.
So...
I mean, it was literally just, I like comics and I like dogs. Thor's a comic character, a corgi's a dog.
Good mix.
And done.
If I ever get a corgi, I'm naming it Thorgy. All right, guys. So we do have a list of a few topics to talk about today, but none of them are like really, really super pressing. There's one topic in particular that we've always kind of touched on and we've always briefly mentioned and we've ranted and raved about, but we've never really deep dived into the reasoning behind it. And that is, what is Marvel doing wrong? I'm pretty sure everyone on the show, most of the time when we touch on it, is because everyone's like, what do you think about the social justice situation with Marvel? And then we pretty much talk about it for a few minutes, that we don't think that's the actual core of the problem. Yeah, but the big reason we wanted to talk about the Marvel situation is they keep messing everything up.
Yep. It's all editorial, it would seem.
Yes, I don't know what's going on. So we were just talking about this before the show, but... in Thorgy's video, he discussed that there is a situation where Marvel's just throwing way too many comics out at one time. Way too many. And I think Marvel literally watched your video and said, oh, we'll prove him wrong. Let's put out 7 Guardians books.
Oh, not even that. Like, at least people know the Guardians books came out. But it's like, does anyone remember that a Nick Fury book and Monsters Unleashed came out in the exact same week as Secret Empire #1?
Not just any
No one remembered that was
Fury
happening.
book. A Nick Fury book by James Robinson that they did like 0 marketing for him. Like, this guy's an amazing writer and you're giving him nothing?
Okay, wait. I legitimately did not know Nick Fury came out. I did read Monsters Unleashed, and for the record, every week I go through and buy every book, and I did not know a Nick Fury book came out.
Exactly, and that's part of the problem.
And I work in a store, and I forgot it came out until I came in on Wednesday, and I was like, oh my god, it's on the wall. Okay.
That's to say, and the Monsters Unleashed book is really great, too. I'm actually enjoying it, but as soon as I read that first issue, I was like, this isn't going to make it past 3 issues.
Oh,
this won't make it. And then the cancellation of Black Panther and the Crew at issue 2.
2 issues.
Yeah,
so
in
sad.
that video you guys referenced, I specifically stopped and said, this is not making it past 12 issues. It doesn't matter what characters are in here. It doesn't matter who's writing it. It doesn't matter how good the book is. Yep. It's not making it past 12 issues because it came out in the exact same week as X-Men Blue and I think Secret Empire 0. I can't remember. It was another like major release.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, those you talked about. this got zero publicity, and you threw it in the same week?
Ta-Nehisi Coates is up for a bunch of awards, and they did nothing to promote this new team book. We're all comic people. We're plugged in. We're in the know, and we had like zero idea about this book. That's bad.
Yeah. I think the even worst case about that entire situation is the name isn't even something that's going to make you just go looking for it.
No, it's an Aquaman and the Others situation where it's like, okay, secondary character. Sorry, Aquaman fans. Fact is, like, Aquaman will not sell as much as Batman, but then putting him on a team called the Others. Or the Outsiders,
or and none of the above.
Yeah, Aquaman and anyone, and it's
I like that book.
What's the incentive for me to buy this? And there wasn't one, and then like, oh man, yeah.
And the funny thing about the crew is the crew at least has characters you know who are big on Netflix. There's Storm and Misty Knight and Luke Cage and everything.
Yeah,
Storm's on
and
Netflix.
they get relegated to the crew.
Yeah, it's their treatment of Storm. I just gotta go off on this for a quick second because I don't know if you guys remember back when the Storm series was around.
Oh, yeah.
Before I even had a YouTube channel, I went on Tumblr when I saw the sales were low, and I did this post called "Save Storm," and that actually got a ton of people paying attention to it. I got all these notes from people, and the number one comment I got back from people was, "Storm has a book."
Yeah.
Wait,
So
that's the one.
it wasn't like people were going, "Oh, I don't want to read a Storm book." People wanted to read a Storm book. They didn't know it was a thing.
That's the one where she came out and she brought back the Mohawk, didn't she?
Right before that was in Wolverine and the X-Men, but she had the Mohawk in the book, yeah.
Okay, all right. Because I remember, because I don't follow Storm too tightly. I mean, there's too many superheroes out there. I have my few that I follow. Storm's not one of them. But I remember when she started popping up with the Mohawk again, I was like, what? We're going back to the 80s.
They launched the Storm book, too, around the same time they launched that Nightcrawler book that had Claremont writing it, and that one didn't even last a war.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, we got a splooge real quick. Splooge.
I'll explain that to Aaron.
I like how
too.
Thorgy's just like, whatever,
Twitter,
we're making motions.
Okay, you watch the show.
I watched other
good.
videos of you guys. Yeah, I know what's up.
Oh,
Alright,
good.
cool.
We don't have to sound like crazy people now.
No, I like it when we don't tell the guests, and then we just do it, and they're like, what just happened?
Yeah, they're like, cool, yeah.
And this is what happens when we have company, everybody.
This is why we can't have nice things. It's too much splooge everywhere.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and that's the situation. I 100% agree with you. Going through, I think it was that exact, 2 weeks ago, whatever, I went through and I bought all the Marvel books to do our usual recap show on the Comicstorian channel. And I even made a comment, there's 28 books this week. There are 28 Marvel books.
Yeah, I remember.
Not even if you said Marvel, DC, and Image, it'd be 28. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Just Marvel.
Because then I go to DC and it's they've got 15. And I love how everyone's well, Marvel's still crushing DC and overall sales. I'm like, well, yeah, when you double the amount of books as DC, just by quantity you're winning.
Yeah.
So when we're
They're
talking
winning
about
with quantity. That's the perfect way of putting it.
yeah, it is definitely quantity over quality. I mean, so what we're talking about the issue with Marvel. I think what we're hitting on now is the main one of the main issues is they're putting out too many damn books. There's just too many.
I literally this is our job. I know you have a normal 9 to 5, Dorgy, but for the three of us, this is what we do. This we've crossed that YouTuber line and we read comics all day, and I can't keep up. So I can't even imagine if you have a legitimate job and a limited income where you can't just write off every comic book purchase to what you would do. If I can't read them all, how is someone who's I've got time for 5 books this month that they're going to do that?
And they're
The sad thing
into
is,
their
all I
own.
can think of. The sad thing is, all I can think about right now is, wait, I can write off comic book purchases?
At a certain point.
In all honesty, yes, you can as a YouTuber who does comic books.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you say I have a 9 to 5. It's not like I'm working in an office. I work at a comic book store. I can literally just stay there for an extra hour each day or 2 hours just reading all the books for free if I want. But I have other stuff to do. I just, purely on time, I don't have the resources that I need to read all the Marvel books.
Yeah.
And on my channel, when they did all new, all different Marvel, and when they did whatever the last one was,
Marvel
Divide We Stand. That was
We don't even do anymore, man.
Divide We Stand, whatever it was. I reviewed the first issue of every single one of those, and on so many of those, I said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to come back for issue number 2 on this. That's not enough for me to buy, but I'm going to read issue number 2, see where it goes. And it wasn't until I was making that editorial video that I realized I never went back to any of those issue number 2s because a brand new number 1 came out when that issue 2 came out that I had to talk about.
You hit the nail on the head right there. Quality isn't so much a problem. There's a lot of good books at Marvel, right? They're just getting drowned in the sea of everything else.
Yeah. Because what it turns into is, okay, so back in the day, let's use Rebirth as a great example, because Rebirth, in my opinion, paced out the release of those books perfectly, so that you had time to read each and every one, and you had time to attach yourself to each of the books that you may be interested in. I feel like, just to what you just said, that's kind of the problem with Marvel. They give me a number one, and most number ones, in all honesty, suck, because it's establishing everything. I can't think of a number one that I read and I was like, holy shit, I can't wait to read the rest of this. Most of them, you're like, I liked it, it was good, can't wait to see what's going to happen. So if that's the situation, and then the next week I got 3 new number ones to read, and then the next week I have 3 new number ones to read, and then the next week there's 2 more, but they're even more obscure characters, I don't care. I can't keep up with all of this. And this is another thing too that I think Marvel forgets. Yeah, they're like, oh, we're in competition with DC. Okay, sure. But you're also in competition with Saga. You're also in competition with The Walking Dead. So if I am an average goer and I'm like, all right, well, I know Batman's solid. I know Superman's solid. Spider-Man's okay. And I like The Walking Dead, and I've got $20 to buy my books for this month, I'm going to go buy those. Or the case in point of that latest Deadpool issue, I show up and I'm like, I got $15 this week. Deadpool's $10. What am I going to buy? I'm going to go with another safety net, which is like, oh, I'll get Batman. Batman is normally a good book. That way I don't get trash.
And it's $3.
Yeah, and it's $3.
And for me, it's not just that they're in competition with like these other companies that are making comparable amounts of books and stuff. They're in competition with themselves.
Right. Bam. That was it. Right there.
I gotta prioritize the just the one publisher. You're putting out so many books. People are it's not like they're like, oh damn, I guess I'll have to get all the Marvel books I want to buy and skip DC. That's not we don't live in that world.
No.
Yeah.
And the Secret Empire is a horrible example. And the Star Wars books. I mean, everyone likes to forget the Star Wars books are owned by Marvel. Everyone likes to be like, oh, that's a separate thing. No, when I go to the store, here's actually perfect example. So we buy all the books for the business, and as we're transitioning the business away from my collection, my business stuff that we have to buy for the purpose of the research and everything else is now becoming kind of its own collection. So I've almost got to start my collection up again. So I go into the store and I'm like, well, what am I going to buy? Because if I'm limiting myself on a realistic budget again, because I'm not going to buy every book. Like if it's for me, I'm not doing that. It's like, okay, well, here's the 3 Star Wars books I want. So I want Star Wars, Darth Vader, and give me Darth Maul. You know, and then so of course now I got to chop off Han Solo, Lando. I can't do Princess Leia if it comes back.
Dr. Azra or whatever.
Dr. Azra. Oh, Dr. Azra's on my list, but still. You know, like I can't do all these Star Wars books. On top of that,
Maul and Minnie.
Yeah, and then on top of that, now Marvel's like, well, here's Secret Empire, and you got to do Secret Empire, and here's the 20 tie-ins with that. Also, don't forget we have all these brand new books that are coming out, starting in a new direction. Oh, and over here we're bringing back all your classic superheroes. So you don't forget we're bringing back Tony Stark and Classic Cap and all his legacy stuff starting. And it's like. And I ran into that exact same problem because I went into the store and I'm like, if I'm going to build my own collection, and of course I have the ability to go into this, the collection for the business and pull stuff out if I want to. So I'm like, so what do I want to ensure that I always get? And I was like, what would I spend $20 a week on? And that was what I limited myself to. And I'm like, even that's kind of a large number for many comic book fans in a month. I mean, I'd
say I see around maybe $12 a month. I mean, $12 a week is the average that I see people spending. So $20 a week is you're a big spender at that point. Not to mention $20. Just thinking about how much entertainment value you get out of $20. That's maybe an hour that you're going to spend reading those books.
No, you're right. I mean, the only reason I'm doing 20s primarily because I do enjoy comics. It is a passion of mine. Yeah. But my other things that I do for fun, I play a lot of X-Wing the mini game, and I play the Star Wars RPG. I don't go spend money on that weekly, Yeah. I have a limit on those as well. I don't know. I don't know what Marvel's doing.
It's funny, too, when you guys quote money, I keep having to do exchange rates in my head as the one lone Canadian. I'm like, $12, that's pretty... Oh, no, wait, it's actually... Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, I can't even imagine the
Canadian dock in the Canadian Chinese food restaurant. Yep. Our life.
There you go. It is, man.
We're writing the weekly poll comic. That is definitely going to be Joel's thing. He's going to pop up periodically because he's busy working on a doc that is a Chinese food restaurant.
Yep. I thought you guys said I'd be the Casey Jones here. You guys would have really nice tailored costumes. I'd just come out with like football shoulder pads and shit I made.
Well, yeah, because you're Canadian. That's the whole point.
Yeah, hockey pads. He's the one who's wearing hockey pads.
Literally wearing hockey pads. I call this the Equalizer. It's an axe handle with a bunch of razor blades put into it. I use it to fight crime.
But let's look at the counter to this. So Secret Empire is coming out, and I think I haven't seen the full solicits, but I can guarantee it's probably like at least 2 or 3 tie-ins a week at this point. You know?
Right. Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Depending on what you mean by tie-ins. If you mean like those specific miniseries that they created, I think I can think of 3 off the top of my head. But then when you talk about like all the tie-in issues, like the Deadpool tie-in issue or the Spider-Man tie-in issue. Like,
right. You know what? I have the preview book. I'll go get it.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. But I was going to say,
while you're doing that, I got to talk about this because this is something that I love Nick Spencer. I do. I think he's one of my favorite writers out there, and I have been loving his
Ant-Man run
stuff. Huh?
His Ant-Man run was incredible.
His Ant-Man was great. Superior Foes of Spider-Man is one of my favorite things I've read in the past, 5 years. And I'm actually enjoying his Sam Wilson cap even more than Steve.
Oh, yeah.
But I gotta bring this up. On Twitter, he has been going off over the past week or so to people who say tie-in issues don't increase sales when you have a tie-in issue that he's been going off. He's no, this is proven. It has happened. It does work. I am telling you, as someone who works in a store, no, it does not. Last night, he tweeted yes, it does increase this. There are books that are suffering in sales that do see a bump after when they have a tie-in. And forgive me for mispronouncing his name because I've never had to say it out loud. But Fabian Nicieza,
Nicieza or whatever,
yeah.
I always say Nicieza.
Yeah, he then replied to that and said, yeah, Deadpool and Cable 10 years ago, it was suffering the sales tied into Civil War and lasted 50 issues. It's yes, it did. 10 years ago. We have had a 2-term president in that time. It's a long period of time.
Yeah.
Things have changed. And you know why that sold? It's because Civil War was unique. It was new. We weren't doing massive crossovers back then. So a huge crossover that tied in everything, this is huge. So people did check out all those issues. And after it was done, it was well, I have been spending this much, but I don't have to spend that much anymore. Maybe I'll continue reading some of these books I have been reading.
Yeah.
But now there are those people out there who they will buy all the tie-in issues.
Yeah.
But that's it. And then they stop as soon as it ends. And one of the reasons for that is because there's immediately another event right after that. So they go and just read those big tie-in issues. And here is the truth that Marvel doesn't want you to know. I sound like some weird conspiracy nut when I say
I don't want you to know.
Hold on, let me get my tinfoil hat.
Please.
Comic publishers hate it.
But here's the thing. Yes, a lot of people will buy those tie-in issues. They then leave after that. However, a lot of those people who were reading that book up until that tie-in issue, they see the tie-in issue and they go, well, I'm not reading the main thing, so I don't know what this is about, so I'll just
sign up for this.
Which immediately levels out those sales.
Yep.
However, after that event, crossover is done and all those crossover rubbernecker fans, whatever you want to call them, like the people who just stop and stare at the car disasters, they then go over to the next car crash. The people who dropped off of that book, some of them come back, not all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
I said, when Civil War II was around, I saw so many people in my store talking to me saying, yeah, man, I'm kind of getting done with Marvel. And then I would look in their hand and it's but you're holding a copy of Civil War II right there.
But I gotta know.
Marvel. But then it hit me. That's the only Marvel thing they're holding.
Yes.
They're not holding the books they were holding last week. They're holding this because Marvel has a gun to the Hulk's head and says, if you want to know if this guy lives or dies, you got to pick up this issue.
They sure do.
And that's it. That's the only reason they're buying that is that basically Marvel is holding some of their favorite characters ransom.
Yeah.
But the tie-in issues, they're oh, I'm not into your drama right now. I'm off to go and see what DC's doing. And you mentioned Rebirth and how it perfectly paced it. DC perfectly paced that because it introduced all their books over the course of 3 months, and then they backed the fudge away and said, be free. Read these books if you want.
Yeah.
See if you like the stories.
Well, Rebirth wasn't it was an event. It was one issue.
Yeah. For $2.99. Again, I'd like to point that out.
Well, the Button's a great example. They're doing this big event right now. It's literally a book a week. A book. It's not oh, go find out what Wally thinks about the Button. Go find out what Blue Beetle's doing with the Button and Dr.
Fate.
Fate.
With Justice League Suicide Squad, too.
Yeah, Justice League Suicide Squad. And all these... actually makes sense. It makes sense that the Justice League would eventually find out that the Suicide Squad thing. The button was introduced a year ago, and the two people who knew about were Flash and Batman. It would make sense that Flash and Batman would get back together and talk about this.
Yes.
And they're only asking you to pick up one extra book if you're not reading it.
Yeah, it would make no sense for, Tony to suddenly go, oh, we have someone who can suddenly see the future. Well, we need to discuss this and fight over it. It's like, we've literally... I can name like 5 mutants out there right now who can do the exact same thing.
Oh, that was the biggest problem. I love Miss Marvel.
About.
Miss Marvel had a character that literally was like, did nobody see Minority Report? There was literally a character that said that. And I was like, thank you.
That book got wonderfully salty about the event. G. Willow Wilson just tore it to shreds.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
that was one of the good tie-ins to that book. I'd be like, you know what?
Going back to what you're saying, though, I didn't even think about that, but Civil War 1 time frame, I was excited for events.
Yes.
I was like, yes! We've been building up, everyone's coming together, I'm going to see everyone teaming up, who's going to live, who's going to die, it's going to be great. And now it's literally at a point where I'm like, what the hell's the next summer event? What's the new winter event? I'd say Marvel, when I first got really heavily back into comics, like I was going a lot by more of a beyond just hobbyist, but it was like 2010. And I remember there was the yearly event. We had a yearly event that was happening. And that was it. And I was like, okay, cool. We're at least building for a yearly, but I have like almost 9 months with my books. I'm good. Some stories are going to happen. I don't like how they all get paused, but at least we have a good amount of time. Now we have an event there's a summer and a winter.
Week. We have one every week. I like to point this out.
As of this year, they've done it weekly.
Monsters Unleashed, Clone Conspiracy.
Avengers versus Inhumans versus X-Men.
That was it. Oh my God, I forgot one.
It was easy to forget.
As of this year, Marvel has basically said we need something going on at all times, and I'm like, I just don't care anymore.
And that's why, like I was saying, all those people out there who are like, oh, well, the tie-ins do help. It's like, no, because the people who are fans of big events, they have a new big event to go immediately to. Mm-hmm. They don't have any time or money to stick around and go, wait, so what's this Miss Marvel thing? She seemed kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Also, too, Benny, to answer your question, I just read the preview book right here. All the major teams and most of the AAA heroes get tie-ins. Then there's all the new minis that you mentioned, Thorgy, that are coming out are going to be their own thing. And I'm pretty sure, too, I might get the dates wrong here, but I think Spider-Man is going to be happening, too, before Secret Empire ends.
What?
Probably.
Yeah, because it's right here next to all the Secret Empire stuff. They also have, and also coming soon, Spider-Man in there as well.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, we haven't even started advertising Generations yet. That just hit me. That wasn't in previews. That's another one coming.
I love how they're doing...
Generations is in here, too.
I know, I love how Legacy and Generations are pretty much starting up before they're even done with Secret Empire. Like, that's how bad Marvel has gotten with these events. They don't even let them finish. What was the one last year that was going on?
I don't know. There's
Civil War 2?
Civil War 2
at the end, but there was one right before that.
Secret War and Civil War 2 both did not conclude on time, and instead of letting anything get affected, they actually added an issue to both storylines and then just started up the new run of comics.
Oh, Apocalypse War or whatever. That one with Apocalypse.
Oh my God. How many have there been if you really think about it?
It's so forgettable. Also, hey, speaking of X-Men, Hulk and X-Men are also going to have one too, Weapons of Mutant Destruction, which is the Weapon X book and the totally awesome Hulk book crossing over as well.
Which, that's something that I'd like to point out something.
Standoff! There's another one! And Venomverse is coming!
And Venomverse.
Venomverse, that's the one that really gets me, because they were like, we promise we're not doing another event for 18 months after Secret Empire. Like, you already announced Venomverse. We know.
You lie.
But it's like, I'd like to point out, there is a difference between an event and just a crossover storyline.
Right.
But Marvel doesn't know how to advertise crossover storylines. Everything has to be an event.
They
have to talk about everything like it's some big massive thing. And to,
Death do his part.
Yeah, to steal a line from The Incredibles, when everything's special, nothing is.
Yeah,
when everything is a massive giant, this could end everything. It's like, I don't care anymore. And what really suffers are those tiny books out there that aren't trying to do that aren't messing in all the big crossover drama. Because if we're tired of the giant, massive, the world's ending, someone's gonna die drama, hey, the Wasp is learning about science this week really doesn't seem that interesting. And I love the new Wasp book, but I'm like, Yeah, man.
And I loved her in
Guys are about to
Avengers
kill
this
each
week.
other.
So someone else mentioned another one that we forgot. Deadpool. He had his own crossover
Oh,
event.
Till
That's
Death
right.
Do Us. Yeah. Yes, it did. It finished a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Oh shit!
It started okay. It ended pretty weak, though.
Shocking.
Yeah.
The other thing that you were gonna that I wanted to point out before we move to the next leg of this argument is when Thorgy, you were talking about the fact that tie-ins don't actually bolster sales, and that in fact they actually probably contribute to the declination of most side titles. You also noticed that it worked 10 years ago because we weren't wise to it, but at this point, since I don't know. I mean, I feel like the market for new readers is ever expanding, but nowhere near as big as the long-time readers. Long-time readers have figured out that tie-ins don't matter, and have figured out that tie-ins are not going to contribute to the main story. It's hardwired in our minds to know, if there's going to be a bombshell moment, it's not going to be in the Hulk tie-in to the big main event. So we're already hardwired to go, well, I know that these are expendable, I know they're just skippable. If I want to know what Spider-Man thinks about the Secret Empire, maybe I'll get the Spider-Man tie-in. But if I want to see what the big thing that Spider-Man actually does in Secret Empire, I will go pick up Secret Empire.
Yeah.
I'm already selectively avoiding the things that I know are superfluous because I've been burned before by this company 12 times before Civil War ended. Come on.
Well, the worst part about this is even I don't even care about Secret Empire or the tie-ins because you've already announced what's next. And if I look at what's next, I'm like, oh, Cap's around again, so this is going to be fixed somehow. Iron Man's back somehow, so this is going to be fixed somehow.
That's the thing that bugs me worse than anything. Marvel has spoiled the end of their last 4 major events because they're like, no, but we really want you to read it though, so we're just going to tell you what happened.
They're trying to cater to the super fans that will buy everything, but then it's like, okay, literally, here's the ending to the Wonder Woman movie, Sal. Wonder Woman dies fighting Doomsday again, and you're going to be like, well, I don't care about seeing it now.
Right, well, I don't need to see it. Yeah, thanks.
That's what I mean.
I'm not curious about the Justice League movie and how that fits into all this.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I just threw something that no one out there could be like, Comicstorian spoiled leaked out the ending to Wonder Woman.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
I'll make that the title card for this video when it goes up on YouTube. But what the hell was I about to say? I'm blanking. Sorry.
Okay.
Prowler's done. Did anyone even know Prowler had a book?
Yes. Okay, let's talk about Prowler too. This is another thing Marvel is doing that's really ticking me off too. They start new books that are tie-ins to other things. So Prowler was a tie-in to Clone Conspiracy. Mm-hmm. Spider-Woman, when it started back up, was a tie-in to Spider-Verse. And even this Secret Warriors book that's starting up is a tie-in to Secret Empire. I'm like, I'm sure being part of an event will boost those numbers as we were talking about, but do these books have the legs to stick around afterwards? Obviously, Spider-Woman stuck around for a bit. Prowler didn't, but we all knew it was going to.
But Spider-Woman stuck around for a bit because they rebranded the whole thing as soon as it ended, so it felt like a brand new start to a series.
Idea.
Yeah. What the hell is Secret Warriors going to be when Secret Empire is done? I don't know.
Canceled.
Nothing.
I feel so bad for Matthew Rosenberg.
Yeah.
Matthew Rosenberg is doing his hardest
He's
over
a
at Marvel.
trooper.
Yeah.
His Kingpin is sick as hell. It's funny. I actually
Silk is
tweeted.
canceled. Yeah, I knew that.
I tweeted about this, and Matthew Rosenberg actually wrote me back. I'm like, I know it's a tie-in. I know it stars Inhumans, and for most people, that's 2 strikes against it. But I think you should pick this up and enjoy it. He wrote me back and said, "Hey, I'm glad you like the book. I usually like to take projects that have at least 2 strikes against it. It makes me look really great when it's awesome."
I think what Marvel. Fuck the Jim Legacy.
One day he's going to write an amazing book that just sells very well, and I look forward to it, but oh man, that poor guy.
Well, so many people are leaving Marvel because of this situation, but honestly, I'm not an expert in the market, but I feel like Marvel, they need to do not even the Rebirth style. They need to just bring down to a core 15 to 20 books about their core characters and just do that for 12 months. Just show that I understand what the comic people actually want. They actually want heroes and the stories about their heroes. They don't want to see them fighting. They don't want to see them going to town all the time. As cool as it is to see Captain America fight Iron Man, I think we've seen it 20 times since Civil War
Literally,
1.
Dude,
I want to
stop
say
and think about... Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think that Jonathan Hickman kind of thought he was doing the mic drop moment when Iron Man and Captain America were fighting as the world ended, and in the beginning of Secret Wars, where he's like, they fight until the world ends. That's as much of that as you'll ever want to see.
And then Secret Wars itself, every single little tie into that was the name of another previous Marvel event. So didn't that feel like the period mark?
Yes, it really should.
This is the end of our giant event period of time.
Right.
Go on.
Yeah, to the point where these events are their own realities. Like this is Civil War is a world you live in. Like House of M is a world you live in. Are you kidding me? Like that's as far as we can go with those ideas.
No, we can just do more ideas.
Well, what if we did two next to it?
It reminds me of Fear itself, because remember when Siege came out? That felt like the mic drop moment, which is like, everything that Bendis has been doing over the past couple of years, it's done. The heroes are back. We're going to have the heroic age. It's going to be great. 3 months went by. Oh, God, we didn't plan something for this. Have giant hammers come down?
Yeah, even hammers, why not?
Hey, do you remember them talking about how Fear itself was going to be a, mirror to the real world and how they were going to be battling, real-world issues, and then it turned out they hit each other?
They mentioned that was going to be these heroes' greatest fears. It's like, I didn't know all these heroes were afraid of explosions. Sure. But
your whole turning into a guy, with a hammer.
Yeah, but going with what you were saying about sick of seeing these heroes fight each other, think back over the past, 10 years, or however far back you can remember into these events, how many of these events have just been the heroes fighting themselves? Inhumans vs. X-Men, Avengers vs. X-Men, Original Sin, Civil War, Civil War 2, spoiler for Clone Conspiracy, but Clone Conspiracy.
Why does Marvel even need villains anymore? They can just keep fighting each other.
Yeah. You know what?
I just like to pretend that Boomerang and his whole squad of flunkies are just out there robbing banks while no one's paying attention.
Right?
Everyone likes to be like, Marvel has no strong villains. Marvel has no strong villains. Well, they don't take time to make any who actually do anything. It's almost like they get scared of it halfway into it, and they're like, no.
Exactly, Thorgy. Their greatest villain is a former hero. You're right.
Well, and it's like, you almost want to say, hey, Magneto, you want to, destroy New York again? He's like, no, I'm leading the X-Men.
Yeah.
Hey, Dr. Doom, you want to try to conquer the rest of the world? No, I'm Iron Man.
No, I'm Iron Man now.
Before your foes. Plant, I have restored life now.
Hey, Loki, do you want to try and attack Asgard? No, I'm a woman now. I missed something.
Look, Loki, I'm a double, triple, quadruple agent. You don't know whose side I'm on.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that reminds me. Oh God, remember 2 weeks ago, because this is something that I didn't even put in that video that I was talking about, but someone contacted me on Twitter and said, another problem I have with Marvel, and the reason I think their sales are low, is because Marvel's just become too depressing. And when they said that, I was like, I guess that's the thing. But then Marvel came out with Legacy or Rebirth, or whatever the hell it's called, and they came out and said, I promise you, nobody is going to die in Legacy. And I went, oh my God, you actually have to say someone isn't dying.
That's where
because that's become the norm. And that's why I stopped and I thought about, and also they had to come out and go, guys, Secret Empire, trust us. You're going to be happy with the ending. Everything is going to work out okay. It's like, I've never seen you have to come out with an event and say everything's going to be okay. I thought, okay, maybe that's because the internet has been reacting so negatively to it.
They have.
But then which there's stuff to be said about that. But then I actually stopped and thought about it. I was like, again, think back 5, 6, however far back you can remember since all these events began. How many of them at the end of it did you stop and go, well, the heroes sure did win, and the Marvel Universe is in a better place right now, and I sure feel good for reading that.
They've all been
downer ends. 3 out of the 12 that have been over the past 10 years?
Even something like Pleasant Hill, which I thought was actually one of the better events that came out that year, ended with someone in the future narrating and that was our last glorious day when we stood together and defeated our foes. Little did we know the dark clouds that would be around the corner and the hell that would be upon us.
I love the comments from people, because I love this one, because I'll get it all the time. Why do you keep ending things on cliffhangers? And I'm just like, because that's how a comic works! That's
not what I do, man. That's them.
You have to get them to come back the next issue. That's kind of business.
It's soap opera, right, man? It's radio show.
Yeah, the only 3 happy endings that I could think of was Secret Wars. Okay, good. Mm-hmm. Monsters Unleashed, but who cares? Yeah. And Siege. But even Siege, a page before the big happy the heroes are back moment, you had a bipolar guy begging to be killed by Thor.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Also, Siege was 7 years ago.
Yeah. That's how far back I gotta reach for a third example.
Styles of pantses have changed since Siege.
The only thing I'm wondering now is how far is Marvel Comics going to let this go? Because they have a large misunderstanding of their situation. And I'm not saying that we're experts and can fix it, but they blatantly, obviously, do not have anyone in charge of knowing what's going on. They keep making more books. They keep flooding it. Yeah, they keep making more books. They keep flooding the market with books. Guardians is a great example. That would have been the perfect time to just do a Guardians book. Not a Guardians book, a Guardians second book, a Guardians third book, a Rocket Raccoon book. Also put out a Ride tie-in book on the same weekend.
Rocket just failed the month before that because it wasn't selling. If you instantly bring it back, you're not getting new readers.
No.
If you instantly bring that back, all the old readers are like, oh, well, the thing I was enjoying just ended. This one will probably end too. I'm not ready to love again.
Exactly.
So, yeah, just walk away from it.
All they did was drop the raccoon part. Rocket now. It's all called.
Yeah.
We were also talking about the Sam Alexander Nova thing, where it's like, look, we finally gave in to you. We gave you Richard Rider back. Are you happy now? Oh, it got canceled quicker than any other Nova series before.
That one, I almost blame the readers because like they really made it sound like a lot of people wanted Richard Rider back. They gave it to you, and the book you didn't buy it. You didn't buy the book.
They listened to all the wrong.
Well, I mean,
people.
like he was saying, like Thor was saying, they just didn't promote it. There was that one image that had him in it. Although I will say I did love Richard Rider being back and meeting all the young heroes and just being like, is everyone 12 now?
That was the best. That was the best thing. Cyclops, the fact that Cyclops just introduces himself to strangers by going, hi, I'm time displaced, me from the past because the present me turned into a villain. I hate everything about that sentence.
Everything about that sentence sucks. I agree. Yeah, why is Nova or Avatar?
Yeah, that book has been amazing, but yeah, it's the fact that Marvel's idea of promoting this thing that quote-unquote everybody was asking for is they put out one teaser image that was just the helmet. Didn't even have the title of the book, just the year it would be coming out. Well, and then they just walked away from that and went, that'll sell itself.
Do you guys remember, let's talk about, like, apropos the teaser of the helmet, right? Because, like, it doesn't say Richard Rider's back. It doesn't say new, like old Nova. It doesn't make any reference to that. It just shows you the helmet. Do you guys remember when Civil War was going on, and they had the teaser of Captain Marvel's logo, and it was called The Return.
Yes.
And we were like, oh shit, they're bringing back Captain Marvel. And then it turns out he's a Skrull, and it was a dupe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some of us still remember that kind of shit, and Marvel does that stuff all the time. Just because you put Richard Rider's helmet on a page doesn't mean that we should all assume Richard Rider's coming. We're kind of expecting you to fake us out. I'm not going to buy that book based on a one-image like teaser when you capitalize on doing that trend to trick me into thinking one thing and then getting another.
Yeah, when I pick up Batman the Button and he's holding the button, guess what I expect to be inside?
Yeah.
Batman holding the button.
Yeah, Batman better be investigating the button in that book.
Well, I'll tell you right now, one of the variant covers, which I'm kind of worried that it's just a variant, but one of the variant covers of the 4th issue, I'm not going to reveal, but the cover shows a big revealed character, and I'm like, I've literally prepared videos assuming he's going to show up.
You're going to be mad now.
With Spider-Man on there because like it was like a store exclusive, right?
Yeah. No, the variant cover I'm talking for the button is the 4th issue. It's the button.
Oh, the button. Oh, the button. No, I thought you meant
you're talking about
Secret Empire. Yes.
No, the button 4th issue. I mean, I guess it's not too big.
Oh, really? He's not even in it?
What's that?
What?
He's not even in that Secret Empire book?
Oh, no. I meant, I was joking about the button issue 4. I said, oh, I read that today. Surprise, Spider-Man is the big reveal at the end of the
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Hey guys, I jumped universes. Can I hang
You
out
probably
with
have
you?
read it already.
Dude, I smelled a sinking ship when I was there. I am out.
Yeah.
The variant cover that I saw just shows Jay Garrick on the cover.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like they've been talking about the
That's
helmet.
not a variant.
Oh, that's the actual
the main
cover?
cover.
Oh, because I saw that and I'm like,
cover A.
what a reveal. That has to be a variant. You know?
It's got to be the thing. It's the way the winds are blowing. It has to be true.
Yeah.
The only problem I have with that, side note, is that everyone's like, they better to reveal something like Dr. Manhattan or The Watchmen or whatever. And then I saw that cover and I'm like, they're going to reveal Jay Garrick.
It's fine by me because they keep bringing up the JSA, and I'm like, yes, you promised that book when DC Rebirth started, and it never materialized. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's, like I said, I read it, no spoilers, but you guys will be happy.
Yay! All I need to know is, does the mystery keep going for another 6 months?
Of course it does, because we have Doomsday Clock to look
Doomsday
for.
Clock. Which I thought this was going to be like a 5-year-long thing, Which, unlike with Marvel, when they're like, well, this is going to be a 5-year-long thing, it's like, yeah, because you're going to have a giant, massive event every 6 months for the next 5 years, and other ones turduckened inside that event.
Yep.
With DC, it was like, this will be going for the next 5 years. Cool. I'm going to have my Green Lantern book to read for 5 years that doesn't tie into any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then when you eventually get to it in a year from now, I'll be able to enjoy that.
They've been so smart
Green
with their
Lantern's
events.
tied in for the first time in like 7 years. No, well, I mean, if you've been reading Hal Jordan, right? The Hal Jordan situation with the button.
Oh yeah.
Al Jordan with the button?
Well,
You mean-
okay. So, the big baddie of the entire thing, like that strips the White Lantern powers away. They're like, something is stopping the timeline, something's removing all this crap. It's got to be tied into the button. So, I have a feeling.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
They made a little reference to the missing 10 years. In fact, they're doing that more and more in books now. Heroes start to be like, hey, something's slightly off here. Like, I imagine Lazarus Contract, they're going to have a moment of, hey, something's off here. What was changed?
Well, and
But
that's
what I love
basically
about
what's been
that
going
is
on.
that it's not like you have to, like, they're all tying in together. They're all hinting at each other. You can read
Absolutely.
Lazarus Contract and not care at all about the rest of the stuff going on. You just want to see Deathstroke fighting the Titans. You get Deathstroke fighting the Titans.
Right. Well, I mean, Titans is the best example because you're like, oh, I can find out what happened to Wally West. Yes, it ties into everything overall, but if I don't give a damn about reading anything else, the Wally West story is complete. I know what happened. We're good to go. You know? And then the Hal Jordan thing, like, because I've been waiting for them to, like, you're right. It's been the weird. I love Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns. I love the Green Lanterns, but it's been the weirdest thing ever that for like the last 7 years, all this shit is happening on Earth, and Hal Jordan's like, fuck you guys, I got the whole universe to worry about, and this is so much worse.
Forward my mail to space.
Ever since I think it was like year 1 of New 52, where they fired Hal Jordan from the from the Justice League, he's been like, fuck you guys, I'm out. He's just gone. But that's been hilarious. But no, I mean, so if you read into what they're saying with the reason the White Lantern was stopped, it's because of whatever this is. So how tightly that ties in, I don't know. It could just be the excuse to remove God mode for the,
I
for
would
the
not be
Green Lantern.
surprised if it wasn't in the button at all.
Well, I would not be surprised if it was it was the reason why God mode was removed from the Lanterns, but they don't explore it at all. Because Kyle Rayner lost the White Ring, and he's like, oh well, you know, you're like
Like, that's going
that's
to be
fine.
the thing now. Whenever anything goes wrong, oh, the Watchmen did it.
yeah. And I got a feeling that's what's happening with the White Lantern, because otherwise Kyle would care more, because he doesn't
Right?
care. Because, and this is what I said when they got rid of the White Lantern. I was like, it really was Space Jesus. I mean, he could literally do anything. You had the Deus Ex Machina for every plot line. You just pulled out the White Lantern, he fixes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's under arrest.
Sounds like it.
I have the thinnest walls of all of us.
So, do we want to talk more about like the things Marvel's doing wrong, or do we want to like try and figure out like, do we want to give them a bone and try and like come up with some ideas to how to fix it?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because I've thought about that one, and it's a tough pickle.
It's work. It's a lot of work, and it requires a lot of like egos to be put in check, which is impossible.
Especially in a corporate.
And like it's not like with Rebirth to the New 52, because they needed to fix that and everything they had going on over the New 52, but the way they fixed it was coming in and going, we're putting out all these books right now. If Marvel comes out and goes, we're putting out all these books right now, I go, oh my god, more of them.
Yeah,
Seriously.
Yeah, more books, more grease on the fire is not going to solve this
The
problem.
Rebirth
Okay.
They
Band-Aid
need to
was...
keep a consistent status quo for longer than a year is what they really need. Whatever you do
that's what
next,
Rebirth did.
Generations, Legacy, it needs to stick.
That was the best part about
they said-
Rebirth. Not that Rebirth came in and brought back old characters and everything like that. It was that
nice.
for the last year, I've had consistent books about my heroes, not where they lost their powers or a robot took over as Batman. It was just Batman doing Batman things, which is what we needed after DCU. They went through and kind of did what Marvel did. They didn't do a full swap out of the heroes, but we had some pretty crazy swap arounds and ideas of continuity doesn't matter, just make a good story. Yeah. And it destroyed, like, New 52 was already kind of a jumbled mess by the time we hit year 4.
Yeah.
I liked the start of New 52, but I feel like after Trinity War, it really started to lose its way, because I feel like Trinity War was supposed to go one way, and they were like, no, bring in the crime syndicate, and they just threw everything out the window. And ever since then, it really started to go full downhill, because you saw there was really no fixes to a lot of the problems at that point. Year 4 to 5 was the DCU era. And DCU was like, let's just change everything around, which is what Marvel did. It was almost like DC going, well, Marvel's doing it, why don't we do it? Yeah. And I think that's the lowest point that they've had their sales at for years. Like, a lot of people like to go, no, New 52 is failing. Nick, no, New 52 ended. They moved on to the next big thing, DCU, and it did so horribly, they don't reference it.
It's one of the shortest eras in DC's history, isn't it? The DCU era.
I think it went like 9 months, and they were like, and we're fixing it.
Oh, that's enough.
But like, everyone likes to forget that. They all like to be like,
on fire.
Yeah, they're all like, oh,
Stop
New 52 bombed. I'm like,
off.
no, New 52, even with all the continuity problems and all the issues and all the storylines that got thrown out and the hardcore fans that they pissed off, was still a huge selling point and did pretty well up until it was starting to lose off, but at DCU it bombed. And when Rebirth came out, they were like, here's the heroes you know and love. No more weirdness, no more gambles. This is what you want. Here it is for a year. And now we're starting to get a little more experimental with it.
Yeah.
We need that from Marvel. We need, like I said, 15 to 20 solid books about heroes we know and love. You know, keep around a couple of your new characters, make some of them a supporting cast, whatever.
I was going to say also, too, again, to bring up the Nova thing, you got to be careful because it's like to a whole generation of kids or to a whole generation of readers, Sam was their Nova. They didn't know anything about Richard Rider. You don't want to shake it up too hard. You got to find that right balance in there where you don't piss off everybody.
Yeah, and there's like a whole... You're right. They have now had a lot of their legacy characters around for so long that there is like a whole new super premiums out there. Like, whenever I hear people talking about, oh, when are they going to bring back the old Thor? I was like, I don't think that many people actually want him over Jane. Like, Jane and him have almost the same number of fans at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, if you get rid of Jane, you'd be ticking off some people. Whereas the old Thor fans are like, yeah, well, actually, I guess I can still read this one. All right, whatever. He still pops up with a big axe from time to time.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like he never went away is the thing. Like, I assumed the way Marvel would go is they would just split the difference like they've done with the 2 Spider-Mans and the 2 Captain Americas and the 2 Hawkeyes. But again, that's like a too many books situation. It's like, I love them both, but who do I read?
Yeah,
well, a great example is Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel has been around so long now and has so many fans. If you were to swap Carol back from Captain to Miss Marvel,
I'd be serious.
Yeah, it wouldn't work.
Kamala sells better than Carol. We should point that out.
I'd be furious.
I think that's one of those transitions and changes they made that actually like organically worked.
Yeah.
And what they need is like some quality control, like somebody who is able to like objectively say that was a good call, that was not, you know, like and then mitigate the problems there. I like they first of all, as we said, reduce the amount of books. Second of all, I think back to basics is a big thing. Like establishing a status quo and then sticking to it for no less than a year.
It has to no events, nothing crazy. No, don't cross over every goddamn issue where it's like, well, now Cap's over here with Iron Man. No, just do Iron Man. Make fun references, reference the universe, maybe have like a one-panel cameo like we've done in Rebirth and shit like that. But do that kind
a proper
of
timeline.
Or what they did in Civil freaking War, the first Civil War, when Iron Man would always show up in everybody else's books. There's always 1 page or 2. He's there, don't forget about the Superhuman Registration Act, and then leave. Like, it was enough where he showed up so many times, it was kind of like, how many hours of the day does Iron Man spend just going to other people's books and telling them to register? But it wasn't like Iron Man had an adventure in that book. Right. Because that book's sales were low, and they know Iron Man's selling well, so they need to infuse him in there. Like, or even if you do that, make it at least fun. Like, remember in the 90s when Spider-Man showed up in everybody's dying book? Like, oh, I'm reading Darkhawk. Hey, look, it's Spider-Man! Oh, look, I'm reading Silver Sable. Hey, Spider-Man popped in. Like, because he's always swinging across, because in his own books, for the most part, he's just swinging across the city, getting in adventures. I can imagine he spent 8 minutes in Darkhawk.
Well, it's like how they used to do with Wolverine. I mean, I still remember the old joke about Wolverine was like, here's Wolverine's week. Sunday he's on the X-Men, Monday he's on the Avengers. Like, over here's a team up, and like that was one of the best parts about it. It's just to go back to the other topic though about the new characters. I almost feel like Marvel themselves forgot how they did it. Because Robbie Reyes is accepted as Ghost Rider at this point. Like, long before he was on the show. TV. Even before the show, he was accepted. Kamala Khan's accepted as Ms. Marvel. Spider-Man is some people look at Miles as their Spider-Man. And that's perfectly fine. And it's almost like Marvel forgot how they did this. And I feel like Riri Williams is the best example. Riri is a great book. She's a great hero. But the way that they introduced her was literally, oh, super smart girl. Tony's dead. Here she is. You're like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's weird.
She literally popped up in the first time that anyone called her Ironheart was an all-new Wolverine. That says something that's like, she doesn't even get her name in her book because they just expect everyone out there to know this from the internet before they actually get to read their thing.
And I'm willing to bet that most comic book fans don't get their information from the internet.
Yeah.
Which is like, you know what it is? It's like, okay, let's look at it from our perspective, right? You're a YouTuber, you're making videos, and you know that these certain videos that you're making are performing, but the comments, or on Twitter, they're telling you gotta, like, somebody tweeted at you and they said, like, you really gotta make more Daredevil videos. And the 80 Daredevil fans liked it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to that is a microcosm of my audience. It's not indicative of my total audience, nor is it indicative of even like the audience that'll watch a Daredevil video. It's indicative of the Daredevil fans that are on this one social media platform, and that is not enough for me to dictate what I'm going to do with the rest of my videos. Not to like talk to I'm talking to Benny like fucking I know what I'm talking about more than him. But like with respect to that,
I don't know
Marvel
nothing about
is,
YouTube,
like,
man. I'm still learning as we go.
But like, it's like Marvel is just going like, well, here's some books, and then Twitter will be like, those suck, and they're like, oh, they do? Oh, let's change it, and it's like, stick with it, man. You've been publishing for 80 years.
Well, I feel like Marvel's playing
comics.
the game of any news is good news. They don't care if they get the headlines because it's bad, good, or whatever. They just want to be like, people are talking about Marvel. That's all that matters. Doesn't matter if they're all saying it sucks and they're literally burning our comics on Instagram. Hey, we're still selling. That girl had to go to the store and get that comic before she could burn it.
Yeah. So
it's one of those things where for their company, they need to both appease the old and the new fans, but a lot of that is you have to let people have time to get to know these new characters. And to me, like, a perfect example of that is the new Green Lanterns book over at DC.
Oh, yeah.
That thing is in the 20s right now. Over 20 straight issues of just Jessica Cruz being introduced to the world.
Yeah.
Just coming in saying, hey, here's my thing. Here's what I do.
And it started rocky as hell.
Powers.
They had a great, strong villain at the beginning. And after that, I was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to read this anymore because I like the Atrocitus, I like the Green Lanterns. I'll see how it's going to go. Right. But I stuck with it just to kind of get to know the characters better. And they've gone on some good adventures and some really shitty ones that should have been good, like the Batman team up.
That was good.
Like, who approved that? Yeah, let's just pop in Batman. They can argue about a gun for a minute. What? Like, just a side note, that was the most disappointing thing ever. Hey, we're going to team up with Batman to face up against a Scarecrow with a yellow ring. Why is this 2 issues?
Yeah, that's a problem.
This should have been like its own crossover thing. Like, that would have been an amazing book, but whatever. That's
true. I would have bought that.
So basically what I'm trying to say is that Marvel, they do need to get down to fewer books. And that is going to be sad because I know that each of these books do have fans.
Oh, yeah.
But they would have more fans if more people could buy them and didn't have to decide on brand new one each week. And when you get down to a fewer number, don't release anything new for a minimum of 6 months. And when you do come up with new books, do like DC did. They put out 4 new series since DC Rebirth was done with their
nice
initial run.
Okay, you know what? Great example, because they have been putting out new stuff. When they put out something new, I freaking know. Because because they're putting out so few things at a time that are new, they have room to promote them.
Super
Who
Sons,
here,
Batwoman.
comic book fans who reads DC, who here does not know about Wildstorm? That has been in their books for like 3 months straight promoting that shit. I don't think any of us are reading it, but
No. It exists.
I
I know
for a while. I don't anymore.
But what I'm saying is, it exists because they have room to promote it. It wasn't oh shit, we have 20 books. How are we going to promote these in our current 30 books? You know?
Yeah.
They have a Forger book coming out from another imprint, and I know about it because it's in all the books, and they're promoting
the
it.
Bug! I know about Bug because of that.
And that's the thing that Marvel keeps forgetting. They promote the things 3 months in advance because that's when all the stores have to order their number ones. but they forget to keep advertising to the people who have to buy it inside the store after that point.
This is good insight right here.
I mean, Batwoman Rebirth. The only reason I even knew about it is because of the ads. I don't care about Batwoman. Like, she's just not one of my. I've always wondered. Like, the extended Batman family gets a little crazy. Come on, we can all admit that.
I like Batwoman, but I think the Bat family's too big.
Yeah, the Bat family's huge. Like, come on.
We've had this argument several times before about the size of the Bat family.
Yeah. I mean, when they did Batman Incorporated, that was just. Oh, come on. Really? Now it's worldwide?
Yeah.
But El Gacho and all those other characters I enjoy. Man of Bats, the Native American guy who's the reservation Batman. I loved his one
Knight
story.
and Squire. Come on. Do you remember there was a guy named Knight and Squire out there? They're the
there
British.
Was a Knight and Squire.
They're important.
They are important.
That story.
But yeah, so, I mean, Marvel needs... So, okay... How can they do this? How can they fix it? Like, how can they implement any of these changes? Who can we blame?
That's the biggest question of it all. That's the biggest problem, is because the only way that you can kind of come in here and say, I'm sorry for this, is with some kind of a big launch of these new books, but we've had so many of them from Marvel that really we would just not... It's the Boy Who Cried Wolf situation. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. It's the company that cried relaunch. We would just look at it like, even if you're just returning back to the original numbers, we'd still look at that and know what it is. It's just another relaunch. What Marvel has to do is they have to just be willing to go, the next 2 years are going to be rough at this company. I hate saying it, folks, but for the next 2 years, we're not going to sell as much as we did because we have built this house on cards, and it's time that we actually go, let's actually put a foundation under this. Yeah. To slowly build back up to the top.
Them bootstraps.
And we have to make sure people know about these things non-stop. Not even just like the new number ones or the new series, but just the storylines in these books. Like a few weeks ago, you were talking about all the Marvel events on this show, and you brought up the Shi'ar Asgardian War, which is amazing. I'm loving that series.
Oh, yeah.
But go into your local comic book store and say, excuse me, does anyone in here know what the Shi'ar Asgardian War is? If there's 10 people in there, you might get one person to raise their hand. And they're probably the guy that works there. They do not advertise this stuff. Like, and I'm not saying come in here, put a big number one, put a big banner that says Shi'ar Asgardian War. I'm saying when I'm reading through my book, have an ad in there that goes, The Phoenix Returns.
Yeah. The Shi'ar Asgardian War is huge. It's huge. A lot of stuff is happening in that for the whole Asgardian lore, and it's if you're not reading Thor, you have no idea this is even happening.
Nope.
So true. I would say, too, things need to be, like, shaken up even at the boardroom level on Marvel right now. It seems like everyone's pointing fingers at everybody and no one's taking any blame. And then they're turning around and blaming the fans and the artists.
I was going to say, once they started blaming... Oh, the fans didn't buy what we made what they said, and they didn't buy it.
Because they physically can't. It's a matter of physics, not of your quality here.
Yeah.
I don't have room in my house for all the books that I would have to buy from you. I don't have money. I don't have time for all this stuff. And your idea of how to fix that is put out 3 more number ones next week?
Yeah.
The kicker is this, too. Like, I like to say that we're kind of in an era of entertainment, because you can go anywhere and there's any form of entertainment. I got to buy Injustice 2 this week. I've got to get my new app thing rolling up. I have to go and buy my comic books. There's a new movie coming out this Friday, and guess what? My comic books that take me 10 minutes to read each are getting bumped farther and farther down because I have everything coming at me 1,000 miles an hour. And we're in an era of free entertainment. YouTube. Yeah. I mean, you can pretty much Netflix and Hulu, you can pretty much torrent all that shit. Didn't hear that from me. Anybody who wants to sponsor Netflix. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we're in an era where getting entertainment's free. Never mind the fact you can also... You didn't hear it from me, but you can download pretty much any book for free from a goddamn torrent. You can read any comic book for free from a goddamn torrent. So why am I going to spend $50 on go buy 50 new Marvel books when I can read them all for free? And then I'm going to go, well, of course I like the new book. I mean, I'm not paying for it, but I'm reading it. It's great.
And that's the thing that you need to realize about, like, the comic back a long time ago. Comic book geeks were comic book geeks. Sure, they would watch some movies, they would watch some TV shows, but like, I'm the guy who knows about comics. These days, everybody's kind of into everything out there, And when you have to compete with all other forms of media, you got to realize comics on their own are already at a disadvantage. Because I spent $60 on Persona 5 a few weeks ago. Yeah. I put 117 hours into that game. Yeah, if I spent $60 on comics, I'd be done in 2.5 hours. Yeah. I would never deal with them again. And Persona 5 takes up that much space in my apartment. $60 worth of comics would take up that much space. There's already a massive disadvantage to it. So you got to realize, make your stuff accessible. Make it so that there isn't a whole bunch of it. Make it so that it's easy to understand. Make it that if you want to read comics, you can read comics. You don't have to read the big massive event to understand this book and who the heck is this lady that just popped up in this thing.
I think that's why something like the Injustice digital comic picked up so much steam when it did, because like, here's cheap, here's every week you can buy it, you don't need to know anything else coming in, and you get a good quality story that's short and disposable, and you're done.
Right, you know what, I can tell you right now, you know how that would have tanked? Why that comic did so well? There was one comic. We did not get Injustice Year 2 Green Lantern story. We did not get Injustice Year 3 Constantine side story, Trigun side story, what happened to Raven. And I feel like if Marvel had that series with how successful it has actually been, it would have turned into its own five book monthly series. And DC was like, just keep it on track. Just one story. You can do side stories as backups. Like, I almost feel like Marvel's forgotten backups exist. Like,
yeah.
Like, you could do more stories in a book if you want to try and promote somebody. Like, did you forget this is a thing?
Yeah, they put those in those books all the time just so that they can charge an extra buck, but it seems like they're only there so you can charge an extra buck. It's like, if you're going to make me pay an extra buck for this book to add in 4 extra pages, make those 4 extra pages count. Introduce someone. Tell a side story. It's like Secret Empire is a perfect example of what you're talking about because, listen, I'm going to go ahead and just say something right now. I actually really like Secret Empire.
Same here. Oh, yeah.
But, and to me, is the perfect example of how to do a massive crossover thing right, because they spent 2 years building this thing up, and it's referencing stuff in other series. So if you pick this up, you're not going to go, how on earth is Iron Fist doing this right now? It's like, oh, no, he says he can't use his chi in this issue. Okay, well, that makes sense. So it's like it's actually being written by somebody who knows what's happening in the rest of the universe, and they took their time building it up. It references stuff from the character's past. However, just pick up Secret Empire. I don't need Secret Empire, the Ant-Man, Falcon, Hercules side story. I don't need Secret Empire.
I want to read it anyway.
Civil War II did that with Hercules. Remember that? The Hercules storyline for Civil War II? My biggest complaint about Civil War II is only half the tie-ins actually were about Civil War II. The other half just got the label on them. Like, Hercules was literally his own event slapped with the Civil War II thing on it.
To finish off his book that was already going.
Yep.
Dude, in Spider-Man 2099, he's in the future doing his own thing in that. That would be like if we had a Civil War tie into this, and we're talking about the actual Civil War from in our past. Like,
that was his tie-in. Man, that Civil War II thing they did a long time ago, that really sucked. Anyway, let's move on.
Here's a question, because I've had a lot of fans actually pitch me this idea when I've talked about this. What do you think about perhaps bringing back something like a Journey into Mystery or an Amazing Tales to be like, hey, here's a house for all these characters, but it's on one book?
That would be great if Marvel had 15 to 20 books. When Marvel has 40 to 50 books, I need consistency in whatever I'm reading. And if you have a book that has an anthology series, then it's like, well, I don't know what that's going to be this week. I need to pick up this book, and also this one's being told important. If they do what we're suggesting here, where they just go, we're getting down to these core books here, and we're just going to let them go, then there can be that book out there that's like, oh, here's everything else. I mean, even do like I was talking a moment ago about the problems with the comic book industry, and also like how Injustice, the webcomic, worked very well.
Yeah.
There's a reason why manga over in Japan still works incredibly well. Comes out every single week. It's this freaking thick and has 20 stories inside of it.
Yeah.
If you put out like Journey into Mystery and it was like, like what they did over at DC with the Legend of Tomorrow book.
Tomorrow, yes.
That is
and
the
they did it with
idea,
Secret Origins
just
too.
At the wrong time.
Yeah.
If they put that out with even Rebirth has a bit too many books in there for them to be able to make something like that work. But if you went down to like 15 to 20 books, a book like that could totally succeed, because then it's like $7.99 and I get like 5 issues in this thing.
Right.
Sign me up.
It's a hell of a bargain.
Yeah.
Even if I only read half of them, that's still pretty good, and I get to follow a story I want.
And in all honesty, I mean, manga's a great example because I do read a lot of manga. We actually run an entire side channel for manga. If you're watching this and you don't know about that, it's Comicstorian. Anyway, I gotta plug myself sometimes.
Of course.
But like, it's the awesome part about manga and the downside at the same time. Like, we have a couple of series that do very well on the channel. We cover Attack on Titan and we cover Berserk, and those are some of the biggest ones on that channel. There's a few other ones, but the problem we run into is, like, on Comicstorian, we get Batman, and I got thousands of Batman books to pick from with what we're gonna do. But Attack on Titan does well, and it's like, you have two. You have one spin-off in Attack on Titan, and that is it. So you have to cover those, and that's all you could do. And that's how most manga works. Here's your one book. If it does really well, you'll get one spin-off. Make it count. No, you don't see Attack on Titan 59. Attack on Titan, the story of the Survey Corps. Attack on Titan, what the future's like. Attack on Titan, the story of the Titans. Attack on Titan, what happens if Titans fight. Attack on... You don't see all that.
Attack on Titan 2099? Yeah.
Right, you don't... like, I think at one time they had 3 total. Attack on Titan Before the Fall, and they had Attack on Titan Lost Girls. And that was it. And then Lost Girls ended, and they started doing Junior High.
Right?
What's that?
There's also like the joke one where they're all kids.
Right, but you can count that, I guess.
Really count, yeah.
But like at the same time,
Japan.
I even Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is enormously popular. There's typically one running story. Like that's it. If you're reading Dragon Ball or even watching Dragon Ball, there's not 90 different stories to follow. If you want to know what's going to happen to Gohan, you gotta wait for Gohan to come back. That's the end of it. There's no Gohan book out.
Side book.
Although he did kind of get that movie, although that was more about Trunks because Trunks was in the thing.
But you know what I'm saying though, like that's just it. Like Trunks is a great example. Everyone loves Trunks. Trunks has been around twice. He didn't get like some side story where we just followed Trunks forever.
Like my favorite manga that I'm reading right now is My Hero Academia. You can just read that, but they did start up a side story thing, and I've been reading the side story, and they do reference things back and forth, but that's fine because it's 2 things.
That's 2.
I can read this, and if I'm not reading the side story thing, totally fine. You still they vaguely mentioned one thing in there. Doesn't play out at all.
I love Akame ga Kill. Akame ga Kill has a side story. Akame ga Kill 0. Literally, if you don't read 0, it doesn't matter. It doesn't tie into the main plot. It's a nice little side story in the universe about the characters before everything, and that is it. I'm not sitting on, well, Akame ga Kill was successful. Let's do 5 tie-in books for each member of the Night Raid and see what they did in the past. It's not like when Guardians of the Galaxy is, we have a movie coming out, let's do a Star-Lord, a Rocket Raccoon, a Gamora, a Drax.
Yeah.
But the sad thing is, I can kind of understand Marvel's mentality because when you describe an Akame ga Kill series for every single character, I'm like, oh, dope. I would kind of read that, but stop,
the thing.
bad.
Yeah.
Now, Get Shitty. I love that name. Get Shitty.
Like,
Dragon Ball has 1 official manga right now. Now, what you're probably following is they like to release in America in bulk the different series. Like, here's another anthology of Z, and here's another one. And then there's 1 fan one going around right now. But the official one is just Super. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless I missed some giant memo that Dragon Ball has a shit ton of side stories.
Well,
according to Moby, they have 2. Which one's got 2?
This is probably the most anime talk we've ever done on the show. Thanks, Thorgy.
I know.
This to us.
Here, I'll see what the current ones running are. But even if there is 2 or 3, it brings us back to the point where the most you ever see a manga go is 2 or 3. I've never heard of a manga series where it's like, man, I really love this series, and everyone's like, well, here's the 7 different ones you need to read, and here's where they break off and do different things. Like,
right.
So, I mean, even if Dragon Ball has finally hit a point where they're like, oh, we have 3 or 4 happening at the same time, or 2 or 3, you never hear about giant, massive amounts happening at the exact same time. Like, they don't just do that.
No.
I feel like it's weird because I feel like American comics need to take a page from manga, while at the same time, manga needs to take a page from American comics and end the goddamn stories once in a while.
And that's another thing. I really think that a lot of the legacy characters would do so much better if you gave the old character like a send-off. Tony Stark. If Tony Stark just went, you know what, guys, I've been in this a long time. I'm going to start the Stark Foundation. I'm going to go out there, try and find the next big brains out there. Then for like 3 years, you spend with him searching for young upstanding science people,
Replacement
while the
characters.
Mandarin
like it.
comes back and tries to ruin it all for him. They have one big final showdown, and then at the end he's like, "That's it, guys. I'm out."
Yeah.
But this kid over here knows what they're talking about. The one I've been talking to for 3 years now? Yeah, you've come to know them, right?
His name is Oob, and he'll be the new hero of the universe.
I do want to move on to one other topic that is kind of important because everyone wants to talk about it. But this comment from Coughs Bro is the best. Lord, a manga for every student in Boko no Hero Academia Class 1A is something that Marvel would do, and I could see that. Here's the 20 My Hero Academia books this week.
I would read a book about that dude who shoots tape out of his elbows.
I would read a book about the
Written by
frog
Gary
girl.
Dugan.
The frog girl and
No,
the
Al
sticky
Ewing read
bulb guy.
Oh, I would read a book about this frog girl. Oh, that'd be adorable.
Suyu would
Although
be
it's
so
Doug and
awesome.
I have to read it.
Yeah.
But Sal's over here like, I don't read manga. Can we move back to
I
it?
do not, but I'm on waiting.
That's fine, Sal. I haven't watched
Sal
anime in
is
years. I'm
baby.
just shaking my head.
Yeah, I told you before. You need to you just watch the anime because they even have a dub. So you don't need, if you're not a subtitle guy, you can even watch the dub at this point. But if you are not a manga guy, I definitely recommend checking out My Hero Academia because it's like think of it. It's basically like if Japanese decided to do an anime about X-Men and instead of being pushed across the world, they're accepted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
Right on.
It's the least tropey anime manga that I have read.
Interesting.
Like a lot of things where it's like, this is going to extend out and be a storyline that lasts for like 2.5 years. Oh no, it's over with. Done the next thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, the other topic I want to talk about before we close out the show today, because we are getting a lot of questions about this, and honestly I don't know what to even say because there's not much to say about it. But Jeff Johns' Doomsday Clock.
Yeah. Sequel to The Button. It's the next one. He says it's the grand culmination of everything he's been writing since Flashpoint.
What do you
So
say?
for me, all that really says to me is that the reveal is going to happen in the Button, but we're not going to see actual results until Doomsday Clock.
Yep. I guarantee nothing will happen at the end of the button.
I cannot speak on this as someone who has read it, but
Yeah, he actually knows. Great choice in title, though, Brent. I love the image. It's the clock, and then it's the Superman symbol at midnight.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
really
evocative
cool.
of the,
It's a nice touch. He also says in a little interview he did, was like, "This
Oh,
is
never
not
mind. I
a
just read
sequel to
spoilers for
Watchmen."
Flash 22. God damn it! Oh, fuck. Well, I guess we're going to be happy if this is accurate.
they couldn't spoil it all in one image. If they just put one image up there, you're still good.
No. Here's the best part. It's not even an image. What it is they're having an interview with Jeff Johns about the Doomsday Clock, and it gets to the ending, and it's like spoiler questions for 22, and then they just ask questions on the results.
Aw.
Oh,
So I read the
cool.
questions, and I'm like, fuck, god damn it.
Why did I do that? Damn
Yeah.
it, eyes.
Yeah.
On the plus side, oh my god, that sounds amazing, Thorgy.
I'm in.
I'm in. I'm so in.
Yeah, I mean, they've been batting 100 with these events so far, and especially this Watchmen stuff. It's like it shouldn't work, but it's been working, and it's been so satisfying.
I want to.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
the
say
one
this because
time.
there's too many people that haven't read this. But this answer from Jeff Johns is just incredible, and it tells you exactly what all of. I can't say it because the book's not even out yet.
Right.
But they asked Jeff Johns about the ending of Flash, and he responded in a way that just makes you go, "Oh my god!"
Well, that's good.
I'm gonna link the article, so if anybody wants the spoilers, you guys can,
cool.
you can go read it yourself. Okay, how about that?
Read at your own peril.
Read at your own peril. It's the last two questions. I'm not gonna
We
say it.
freaking warned you.
Like we don't like doing heavy spoilers, so don't worry. I'm not gonna say it. That's the article, though. The last two questions you can go ahead and read. And if you say it in the chat, I will block you. You will get yourself an
Batman is
Insta ban.
Superman's father.
Okay.
How does that even work?
Hold on, I'm gonna do this real fast.
Gotta read Doomsday Clock and find
That's
out.
the interview. Read at your own risk if you guys want to see the last two questions. Sal, I kind of want you to because I want to see your facial reaction when you read the last two questions.
Okay.
Here, I love doing.
Oh, sweet. It's right here. Sci-Fi Wire. That sucks.
That's your reaction?
that was it.
You're right, Benny. That was a good reaction. Don't you mean Siffy Wire?
Movie's like, oh my god, I'm watching. If any of you spoil it, you're getting blocked.
Feel the
Oh
wrath.
yeah, those last two. Yeah, they're
So, thank you. Yes.
Here, I'm just about to read it.
yeah.
So there you go.
sounds cool.
That's our reaction to Doomsday Clock. Oh my god.
Oh. Oh. Oh my.
Well, yes, it spoils this week's Flash. It's the conclusion of the button, so it spoils the big two things that are going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like everyone who is reading it. They're all like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. What? Sweet.
It's like I didn't see that coming, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah.
So many
right.
confirmations. That's the best part.
Good.
Okay, I think at that point we can go ahead and end it, because what are we going to talk about now without discussing that spoiler? You know what I mean?
Being like, okay, so what?
Yeah, that's the icing on the evening. Can't get much better than that.
If you can hold out, just wait till tomorrow's issue. It drops. So, yeah. All right, guys. On that note, we're going to end the podcast. We're at our usual end time. If you want to know our opinions on why we just said, oh my god, to the Doomsday Clock, I will, Sal, when you do the re-upload, put that article in there just so people can link it. It'll be in the comments down below. I want to thank Professor Thorgy for joining us today. It was a rather riveting conversation. We don't typically have that much of a nice discussion on things. Before you go, why don't you remind them where they can find you for anyone who came late?
Yes, okay, so Twitter, Tumblr, Twitch, you can find me at Professor Thorgy, and then that is also the name of my YouTube channel, Professor Thorgy. It's like an all-around geek channel, but the comic book stuff on there is the most popular stuff, so it's a comic book channel. But on Wednesdays, we do comic class, that's where we talk about comics, and then on Saturday and Sunday, we do movie and game reviews and spoiler talks. And this is the week to start watching, because normally I do 3 tops 4 videos. I got like 7 planned this week, so it's going to be busy.
Nice.
So, okay, cool. Like I said, once again, thank you for being here today. For those guys who are asking about a Guardians of the Galaxy discussion, well, maybe we'll just have to do a side. Joel said it best. The spoiler cast has to be an episode all by itself at this point. I mean, we can't ever seem to work it in. I'm sure we have plenty to talk about, so it's not. We'll work it in somewhere. Probably do it over the weekend or something. I am starting up an official Star Wars RPG on the channel here. I'm going to announce it now. We just need to find the first day to get it started. The only reason it didn't start last Sunday is I forgot it was Mother's Day because I don't live near my mother, so it's just doesn't pop up in my head. So I hit everyone up like, hey, let's play Star Wars on the Twitch this weekend. And everyone's like, Benny, it's Mother's Day. And I was like,
my mom's pretty cool, but if I ditched her to go play Star Wars, she'd probably disown me. I'm just throwing that out there.
I'm sure
and for those guys wondering, it's the new Star Wars
Star
RPG, Fantasy Flight.
Oh, yeah.
So it's Fantasy Flight one, because I like the dice rolls for that one. Not the 20 die.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, that's that. We'll see you all next time right here at the Weekly Pull every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/EligibleMonster. Don't forget about our Thursday show, The Pull, where we discuss all of the comics. If you want to see our actual discussion about the end of the button, that will be on Thursday's show. And I know I haven't been on a pull in quite a while, but I think I need to make time for this episode.
Sounds about right.
All right, guys, thanks so much. We'll see you next time right here. Oh, our sign-off is Alan Scott. Alan Scott!
Gary Garrick. I'm sorry.
Nice.
What's the name of Dr. Fate? I can't remember his name now.
Kent Nelson.
Oh, Kent Nelson.
Ken Nelson!